What are you doing?
Good morning and welcome to another exciting day. Oh my goodness. You've got a cat and a cat has my tongue. Welcome to another exciting
edition.
Welcome to another exciting edition of Day 4 with the man Frank SCALISH. It's been a couple weeks. Bama already making an appearance, and I'm already screwing up the intro.
Outstanding.
It's been a minute, Frank.
Yeah, you got to knock the rust off, dude.
Well, I've been doing regular BTLs.
Yeah, I know you have. I've been watching. just not day 4. But we're back. We're back in action.
We're back. We're better than ever. The Final Bassmaster Open currently going on Lake Martin. Let me tell you what, it is a mag spot barn burner. You better make sure the drags are set on your 2,500 and 3,000 size spinning reels.
Yeah, and in other words, cinch down.
Yes, absolutely. Currently, Mike McClellan holding down the 10th spot on Bass Track, 5 spotted bass for 5 pounds even. And my boy Austin Cranford, he's leading the event right now, 5 for 715.
Dude, they're like brook trout.
They are. They're using size 16 bait keeper hooks.
Oh my gosh, that's so brutal, dude.
But props for Bass for going live though.
Hey,
all 3 days of the event on FS1.
You have to, man. It's fishing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's whether everyone's catching, 15 ounces to 1.4 pounds, it's still a bass and it's still bass fishing.
It is. I had the 2 weeks, that we didn't do shows. I was at the Bass Fishing Hall of Fame, got to see Skeet, Zona, Alfred Williams, Mike McGinnis, Fred Arbogast get it done. Well, Fred, I didn't get to see him. He's no longer has not been with us for a fair amount of time now. But
he sees you though, man.
He did, but I mean, congratulations. First of all, you talked about those custom painted jitterbugs, the KVD, the Jason Christie, and the Bill Dance, and I think they sold them out and raised over $12,000 for the Hall of Fame on those 3 paint jobs. So,
yeah, yay for our team.
and then the Lake St. Clair custom painted crawfish Norman collection, the 1 of 1. That went for $1,400, I believe.
I know. I can't believe it. My hat's off to you guys for supporting that. It's a good thing. I mean, we like the sport. That keeps it around. That keeps history in the books, so to speak. So it's a good thing.
I knew that would kind of come down to a battle of individuals with badass man caves and disposable income.
Right. Yeah, as always, right? As always.
And I think that's kind of what it might have. Maybe I have no idea. I have not heard who bought it yet. Like you said, you still have it in your possession. As soon as we hear this, it's like either this week or next. I think they've alerted the winners.
Listen, I packed that thing so good, it might survive a nuclear explosion.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I mean, I was freaking out because I don't want the baits to get jarred
and then get scratched, and
you know what I mean. So they're in there, and the baits. The way I put it together is really kind of cool. The bills touch the glass, and I have like a forked pin at an angle in there, pressing it down, and then a pin in the back hook hanger to keep it stable, so it doesn't rock or anything in it. It doesn't wiggle. But you know how our how when the minute it leaves your hands and goes to UPS or FedEx,
all bets are off.
Hey, anything could happen.
I will say then, whoever that winner is, once we know, we'll have a guest spot on BTL. We'll get a call.
Yeah, and I'll rifle that thing out to you as soon as I get the info.
Good deal. So, and then right after that, I went to Japan. Have you ever done the Japan trip, Frank?
Never.
Have you ever had a chance to?
No, no. The short answer is no. I've been to Italy before. Italy was really cool. Um, I saw myself at one point in time when we were down there. I saw myself opening up a little fly shop along this mountain river, and living a very meager existence, selling freaking bugs to catch trout. But that didn't last too long because I need a bass. I gotta catch
Oh
a
my
bass.
gosh, that's funny. But yeah,
Yeah.
I was I so Japan hadn't really been like it was always obviously on the radar, but it hadn't been like I have to get to Japan.
Right.
Dude, I had drastically underrated it. It's freaking cool, man.
Yeah, and like some of the country there is breathtaking.
It's so cool. We flew into Tokyo, and then we took another flight, like a domestic flight in Japan, down to where the Sunline Fishing headquarters is. So it's kind of like southwest, not all the way down, but kind of southern southwest. About an hour south of Hiroshima.
Damn.
Right
So
on the ocean.
So my question is, what are the lakes like, dude? Are they tiny?
Yeah, so we got to fish.
Oh my
I
god.
was with Welcher and John Cruz, and we had kind of an afternoon, and the lakes are really cool. They're like little, I want to say mountain lakes.
Okay.
Like the
structure limit, no grass, rock, wood.
Yeah, a lot of rock, like super rocky, some bluffs, a lot of clarity, water clarity to it. Reminded me of like a Smith Mountain or a little it actually reminded me a lot of Table Rock.
Excellent. Yes, but they're small though. The lakes there are small.
Yeah, and a lot of the people had like little bitty boats, but they had the scope up front, and it was cool, like just seeing like what you'd seen in the magazines actually in person. So I didn't catch a fish. Kyle and John caught a couple small ones each, but I had one pick up a Ned rig, but I was throwing a 6-foot extra light spinning rod with metered 4-pound test fluorocarbon on it. And I think I was lacking hook penetration.
Yeah, well, that's a personal problem.
But no, it was cool, dude. It was cool. And then the tackle stores, you would have, it was sensory overload.
Oh, I can imagine. Like, I'm so curious. Like, I want to see the process. I want to see their paint process, to be honest with you. That's what I'm more interested in. Just how they're applying color and how they're, just all the steps to the final product is what I'm really interested in.
You're a terminal tackle guy. Like you like your little terminal tackle hacks. Think of the biggest row of tackle you've ever seen, and everything is a bead, a snap swivel, some sort of little thing to assist you in your bass fishing. And then with the yen conversion, most of them were like $2 a pack.
Oh my gosh.
So I literally was like, I don't know what this is, but it looks cool. I don't know what this is, but it looks cool. And then that was like the coolest thing. Was seeing how detailed.
Well, here, look, it's out of necessity because the lakes are small, they're highly pressured, the fishing's tough over there, and so they have to take everything to the nth degree. Like
they do.
Oh yeah, because like you could come down here and jig and minnow with a giant minnow, and over there everything is microscopic
or big. It's weird. It's like we've had those shows that you've done, one end of the spectrum or the other. But
right.
our guide who worked at Sunline, he was laughing at one of the tackle stores. I said, "What are you laughing at?" And he said Japanese anglers. He said, and he's very good at speaking. It's amazing, those guys that are bilingual like that.
Oh,
he said if you look, he said that we examine every single bait, we look at it, we make a calculated decision before we put it in the basket. He said Americans, whole row.
That is so true. That is so true. I can't tell you the amount of times I've been to a local tackle shop by one of the lakes we have. I'm like, ooh, that's nice. The whole thing comes out into the cart. That is so true.
Yeah.
But you
Thank
know
you,
what's
Drunkwood.
crazy though? Like I go through my soft plastics and I take out the best ones.
Yeah.
Like I go through every soft plastic I own and I meticulously weed them out because there's certain things I want in each one. And so I do that. So I wind up, half of them, well, not half, but probably a quarter of them never see the light of day.
I went with Kyle Welcher and John Cruz, and Welcher was pretty much like, yeah, don't show anything we bought. And then
it's not going to matter. You can't get it.
And then John Cruz did like a JDM giveaway. I was showing you this on the, I don't know, on the deal there, but like I've got, guess how many different styles of 5 to 7 inch minnows I picked?
I have no clue.
19.
Oh my gosh. You're going to start banging them on one of those and you're never going to get them again.
I mean, all these, all organized in the deal, ready to freaking roll.
That is outstanding, man.
All right. Have you been fishing the last 2 weeks?
Yeah.
I know you have. I think I saw a picture.
Yeah, I have been. I went muskie fishing one day just because I have to. I got to catch one every now and then. And it was the first time in 4 years that I went out and didn't hook up. I had 2 monsters run it at the boat and I was sleeping at the switch and I pulled the lure out of the water. I didn't even figure eight it or nothing. I just pulled it out of the water to make another cast and this big giant torpedo comes up and boils on it. And then of course I slap it in the water and start doing everything. But by then it was too late. So I missed 2 opportunities for a hookup, which irritated me. So the next day I went out bass fishing just to get even with something and had a pretty good day. Actually it was a great day. And they're up here, our weather's starting to dip really big at night. And so our water temperatures are starting to drop and the fall bite is starting to happen. It's not like a late fall bite. It's more like early fall, end of summer type bite, but they're predictable, which is nice because they're predictable. But I'm waiting for the colder bite to come because then it's going to start to, when you find them, you're going to find loads of them. And so that's kind of what I'm waiting at.
We're kind of waiting on that in Oklahoma as well. That first snap. This is something that I feel like happens to me every year. And I don't want to hijack the show, but
there's no hijacking.
It's a serious question here. So every year you're waiting for that fall bite. And I always feel like I jumped the gun on it. Like you wake up, you go out and you're like, ooh, wow, that's brisk.
Right.
Right. Fall bite is here. But like it's a kind of it's not an overnight transition, like 2 cold nights and then the fish go up there. Like I'm today's the last, tomorrow's the last day I can practice on Grand Lake for that Bass Nation Championship. And I'm like looking at the weather and I'm like, oh, there's a 40-degree night in there. They're freaking be up there.
Yeah.
But in your opinion and in your experience, how long does it take for that transition to actually kind of happen to where that goes from the late summer fish doing a little bit of everything to the early fall to actually like what you would call hardcore fall bite, early winter bite?
So where you live, it's a slower process. Where I live, it happens relatively quickly because the temperatures change quick. But what I notice is that when you're fishing that late summer, early fall, and it's like you said, you catch a couple on a crankbait, a couple on a Carolina rig, a couple flipping and pitching, a couple on a square bill, and your depth ranges is from like 15 feet to the bank. It's not happening yet. But when all of a sudden, when you start to fish and you start to find more fish in that 0 to 10 foot range, it's about to go down because look at it like this. In the spring, right before the spawn, clearly the best bite is the pre-spawn bite. People confuse the pre-spawn bite to a springtime bite or the actual pre-spawn bite. When it's actually pre-spawn, all those fish are within a minute depth range. And so when you're catching the crap out of them, because they're all in the same depth range waiting to move up. And that's what's starting to happen here now. The depth range is starting to get like that. And so for us, it's probably going to be about another 2 weeks, and it's going to be on like fire. For you guys, it could take 3 weeks to a month to get all those fish in that range, because your water temperatures start to decrease at a much slower rate. Ours will decrease by 3 to 4 degrees every couple of days, depending on how the nights get. Okay. So it happens quicker up north, clearly. But it's, you guys are close, but I gotta say, you're still probably 3 weeks away, where we're probably less than that. You might be 4 weeks away, and we're almost right there. I mean, right now, like tomorrow morning's going to be 37 degrees. And that's going to knock a lot of surface temperature down. But you got to also remember that, bass in 15 feet of water don't know it's cooler in 4 feet of water. They don't know that yet. Do? No, I think what they do is length of daylight starts making them move. That's the first move.
So you're a length of daylight guy, even not in the spring for the spawn. You're a length of daylight guy in the fall.
100%. Because the deep fish don't know the water temperature is cooler, but you also have to remember the bait fish are also moving in the fall. They're plankton feeders, so they're up at the top of the water column. They're all everywhere in between. So those fish there will experience the cooler temperatures, and so as the bait fish start to move, the bass start to follow the bait. And once the bass get to a section of the water column that actually is fluctuated by the water temperature, then they know, and then they're staying put. There's a lot of food there. It's comfortable for them there, and they're putting the feed bag on. And then conversely, when the water temperature hits a certain degree, then they start to do their winter thing. They start to go to their winter thing, which is really cool. Here.
That makes a lot of sense.
But yeah, I'm a daylight guy in the fall for sure. As the days get shorter, the bass start to move. So do the bait. And it's good, oddly enough, we talk a lot about fish behavior, because obviously it's a fishing show. So we talk a lot about fish behavior. Fish break the rules all the time. I mean, I know a guy that went out. I didn't do this personally, but I know a guy that was out in December about 5 years ago, out in December, and he was knocking the shit out of them on a buzzbait. And I was like, there ain't no way. And he was crushing them, dude. And it was a once in a lifetime thing, because to duplicate that is, rare. But it happens. Bass break the rules. I mean, they just break the rules.
The Forest caught 2 on a big rat yesterday.
Yeah, see, now I can believe that, because the top water bite gets better and better. But it'll reach a point of diminishing returns pretty soon for us anyway. Pretty soon. But it's Matt, the coolest thing about our sport is there's so many variables, so many different things that come into play. The one thing that I believe in for all anglers of all I don't even know how to phrase this, but all anglers at every level of fishing, I think the first thing an angler should do is master all their techniques. That's kind of ingrained in my brain from day one, is the mastering of all techniques, because if you think about it, if a technique seems easy or one-dimensional, you're probably missing something, because every technique has so many different facets to it. Like the day we talked about flipping and pitching, for example. We talked about, weight size, the bass in cover, meaning what's their location in the cover? Are they suspended in the cover? Are they near the top? Or are they on the bottom? Everything you're always analyzing because what we do is we try to find a pattern.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to analyze all the variables to pick up on that pattern or you miss it. You can't just go, oh yeah, I'm flipping and I'm catching them, and then every now and then I catch a big one. Well, if you're flipping brush, if you're fishing buck brush and flipping buck brush and you catch a lot of fish, and then every now and then you catch a big one, you got to look at where that big one came from. More often than not, it didn't come from the buck brush, because if you're catching all little ones in the buck brush, the big one was probably on a piece of hardwood, or maybe the bottom composition was different where you caught it. And so you pay attention to that kind of thing, and that helps you hone in on a pattern. Because every technique has variables, every technique has different nuances that you need to look at for maximum efficiency and effectiveness. Okay. So as an angler, it's your job to look at all the fishing situations that you come across and alter or tweak your approach to fit those conditions. That's just what we do by nature. And the more time you spend on the water, the more time you spend learning a technique, the more you recognize when you have to change it up. When you have, I got to go to a lighter sinker. I got to go to a heavier sinker. I need a bigger crankbait. I need a, crankbait that's not dredging on the bottom, for example. And that's kind of, that's kind of how it works, something came to mind the other day when I was fishing the other day. I stayed on a soft plastic. I was actually flipping a Yum money craw, and I was flipping a jig. And I can throw other baits and catch a lot of fish, but they were all small. And so I didn't want to play around with the smaller fish. So I stayed on the baits that were getting me the bigger bites. And by the end of the day, I had a pretty good limit going. I forfeited bites during the day, but I did it intentionally because I didn't want to catch a lot of 12 to 14 inchers. I wanted, 2.5 pounders plus, and it panned out. But I recognized that early on, because when I was cranking, I was catching a lot of small ones, and my buddy that was with me was catching a lot of small ones. Throwing the other baits was putting a lot of small fish in the boat. Well, when I picked up the jig, I caught a 4-pounder, and I said, okay, I know exactly what I need to do the rest of the day. So I threw the jig, and then I threw the money craw because it's a little bit bigger soft plastic, but the movement on the money craw pretty much emulates a jig almost. And so I stayed with it. And then when I got a bite, it was a bite. It was the one you wanted. And so I stayed with it, and then if you like in back in the day, when I first started fishing smallmouth on the Great Lakes, it was always a tube. I mean, everything was a tube. You're going to drag a tube. You're going to do whatever you want to do is going to be.
Yeah, that was all the way up until, when I started covering this thing, 08, 09, 10, it wasn't, I would say, until 11, 12, 2013 that the drop shot kind of maybe supplanted the tube on the Great Lakes.
Correct. 100%.
I mean, it was still a tube. And then when you were drop shotting, you were still drop shotting a tube. You were just cutting the thing in half.
Yeah. I mean, we exactly, or using the original Bobby Garland gets a tube, the skinny one. And that's pretty much what happened. And I remember the first time I fished St. Clair, you couldn't drop shot. It wasn't legal to drop shot. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It wasn't legal. And
how was it not legal to drop shot on Lake St. Clair?
Look, dude, they changed the law clearly, or the rule clearly. But in the beginning,
you know what? I guarantee it had something to do with snagging salmon.
Probably 100%.
About a weight below your hook.
Below the hook, correct. That's exactly what it was. So then they, of course, changed the rules. So when I started drop shotting on Lake Erie, drop shotting was relatively new. Didn't know much about it. so, you know, I rigged a few up. I went out there and started monkeying around, and sometimes I caught the crap out of them. Sometimes I couldn't catch them. I could see them on my sonar. And back then everything was vertical because it was all 2D. So and the bass weren't transducer shy by any means. I can get right on top of them, drop down there, monkey with them, and then see how they behaved. And then I started making my adjustments. So one day I was out there, and I had 3 drop shots rigged, and I had one with a 18-inch from the weight to the hook. I had one that was like almost 2.5 feet from the weight to the hook. And then I had one that was like 3 to 4 feet from the weight to the hook, because, you know, I started realizing that vertically over the fish, I can see how high they are from the bottom, what their relationship was to the bottom. All right. And so the ones that were higher in the water column, I can keep my drop shot bait in front of them with the longer leader, et cetera, et cetera. So this was all really good until you couldn't get vertical on them because of wind. You know, sometimes, you know, the wind is so tough that you can't stay on them. So you got to cast to them. Well, this is when I realized something really important. And this is what put a ton of money in my pocket on the Great Lakes. And I'm going to show you this. I got a prop. I have a drawing too. I have a drawing, but I think the prop is going to be way more explanatory. So here's the deal. So we go out for a tournament, and I got my drop shot rods rigged, and I've got these like 4 foot, 4.5 foot leaders on them from the sinker to the hook. And my leader. Yeah, my buddy's like, Jesus, dude, what are you thinking? And I'm like, well, you know, I have a hunch, and I think it's going to work because it's all physics. It's got nothing to do with fishing. It's physics, or I should say geometry. So here's what happens. Under normal conditions, I'm running 12 to 18 inches, normal conditions. Bedding bass, I shorten it, you know, 4 inches to a foot. Fishing heavy cover, I shorten it because it comes through the cover better. And I want it to go through the cover. Grass, if it's a thin carpet of eelgrass, new baby eelgrass, I'll rig it so it's above the eelgrass, et cetera, et cetera. So you guys know the drill. Power shotting. I was power shotting before power shotting was called power shotting. I was on an event on Gunnersville, and I rigged up one of my flipping sticks with a weedless drop shot, and I was pitching it in the grass and just slamming them. Unfortunately for me, I was 10 minutes late coming in, so I screwed myself out of a lot of money. Yeah, I did. I screwed myself out of so much money, it was sickening, because I literally had an easy top 5 in the tournament.
What, you just forgot what time it was, or thought you had the wrong check-in time, or mismanaged your time? Or
I had these high spots with grass on them in this section of the lake, and I was bopping around there, and I was catching a lot of fish. I made a technique change where I went to a 6.5 inch finesse worm instead of the 4. And I started catching big ones. Well, I saw KVD. We waved at each other. We were fishing some of the same stuff, but he was fishing other stuff. We were fishing some of the same stuff. He waved to me, and he took off. I didn't think nothing of it, because now I'm starting to call with 4s and 5s. So I started rerunning a route, and I had asked my non-boater what time it was. And he told me, and my heart sunk. I'm like, holy shit, dude, we got to be in the weigh-in in like 3 minutes. And I'm like, we're never going to make it. And so I didn't make it. I was late, like a lot late. And so I lost tons of poundage, and I took myself out of a out of a cut. I took myself right out of the cut.
Yeah.
At any rate, so that's a small.
We digress.
We digress. So anyhow, so I got a prop.
Okay.
I have a drop shot rigged. I got to see how far back.
All right.
Okay,
Frank has a lead circular. This is for the iTunes listeners. Frank has a lead circular drop shot. Weight looks to be about a 3/8 ounce.
Yeah, 100%. You are on the money, dude.
And then he has about an 18-inch leader that looks like it's going up to a matte black Great Lakes finesse drop worm.
It is. Okay, so here for
drop
this,
minnow.
Drop minnow. So here for this demonstration, I'm vertically I have a piece of styrofoam, and this styrofoam is the bottom of the lake, and my drop shot minnow, for all intensive purposes, we'll call it 18 inches from the weight vertically. Okay, so if the fish are suspending, I got them with the vertical presentation. But let's say the wind's blowing and I got a drift. As the boat drifts and I get more of an angle on my line to see where the bait goes closer to the bottom, because we're not vertical anymore. We're drifting. So we're forming that triangle and the bait gets closer to the bottom. So if I needed to have my bait 2 feet off the bottom or higher off the bottom, I need a massive freaking leader line. So when I'm drifting or casting and working it back to the boat, it's at the level of where I need it to be for the fish. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
And so that's why I started going with these gigantic leaders, especially on the Great Lakes, with these gigantic leaders, because I'm finding most of the time I got a wind push. I can't stay on top of the fish vertically. And so that's where these long leaders came into play. And dude, I started knocking the fire out of these fish. And my buddies were losing their marbles because they're like, I don't understand. I'm drop shot and I can't catch nothing. Mm-hmm. And I'm laughing because I'm like, you guys are way, you're dragging it on the bottom. And if that was the case, the tube would be outperforming it. And the tubes, when the tube's not working, that's the trick. So on my little graph here, I just showed the difference between,
that's a beauty,
the vertical presentation, and then a cast and a retrieve or a wind drag on it, just so you guys could see the placement of the bait. Same leader distance, but you see where the bait is in reference to the
one
bottom.
bait's vertical is 24 inches off the bottom. The other bait, even though you still have a 24-inch leader, is a foot off the bottom.
Correct. And so that's where that comes into play. But that comes into exactly what we're talking about, is you got to know the nuances of your techniques. Mm-hmm. Because this is what, like here, Matt, you're, and I'm going to be honest with the audience too. Matt's working with me really hard on shaking minnows and working with forward facing sonar. And so is my son, Frankie, because they got more experience at it than I do. So I take the knowledge that these guys give me, and then I go out and experiment with it on my own to see exactly what's what. Because again, it's a technique that's new to me, and I will have it mastered because that's just how I am. I've already been experimenting with different weights, different line sizes, different fall rates. One day I was out, I'll be honest, one day I was out scoping and I couldn't catch him on a jig and minnow. And I just pulled it off and put a 5-inch dinger on a super light head, and I can see on my forward facing sonar when the 5-inch dinger was sinking, it was going like this, and I could see it on my forward facing sonar. It was just spiraling down to the bottom, and I caught all my fish on that, and I caught one on the minnow, because they didn't want the minnow technique the way the minnow technique was working. They wanted that slow, super slow, methodical fall, and every one of them came up to get it. Where with the minnow, I had a couple followers. I changed sizes, I changed colors, I changed weights. I only got one to go off on it. And so, but I wasn't willing to leave those fish until I figured out how to catch them. And then once I figured out how to catch them, I started catching them like with ease.
Mhm.
So it's a, it's a new technique. So I have to experiment with all aspects of that technique. And that's what I'm doing now. Like, I'm really confident with that, with every technique that I do. I'm so confident in it that I can't say any technique is a weakness or a strength anymore, because they're all the same, except for, forward facing sonar, live scope. That game is new to me. So, I spend a lot of time now trying to figure it out. But, the other day, to be honest with you, I caught a bunch on live scope, and I caught way more just traditionally fishing, just because of the way the pattern was.
Mhm.
They were buried up in the grass or buried up in the heavy cover, and I can just go, oh, that's the right depth range. Yeah, that's the right watercolor. Yeah, and boom, boom, boom.
Do you think the reason why you're still so passionate about fishing and so excited to get on the water is because there's an infinite number of techniques that you can master, and there's never a threshold of learning?
Yeah, 100%. That's really smart, because that's exactly how I am. That's why I try to find new lakes that I never been on before. Because it's figuring out a new body of water, or figuring out a new technique, or figuring out ways to tweak a technique, which actually is probably one of my second favorite things to do, other than new water, is tweaking a technique. Because when you do something different that manufactures bites and puts bass in your boat, if you can be ahead of the curve, you're going to catch more fish than guys will on the same lake under those same conditions,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're on the fish, of course.
I struggle. So let's just use the minnow, for example. I just did a interview with Jacob Fouts yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about how he'd been shaking one since 2021, 2022. And I'm a year in to my minnow journey.
But you have a pretty good grasp of it, man.
Well, yeah, because I stack days. We need
Right.
to do a show on stacking days on the water, which is impossible for 99% of people because they have a life, which I sometimes just ignore and spend multiple days on the water, which I pay for later. But to be on the forefront or the cutting edge of a technique or something like that, you have to have a unique understanding of bass fishing, of the fishery, of how fish react, relate, of what works, what doesn't, because you're actually then you also have to have a lot of self-confidence in yourself and your ability and your decision making, because 99.99% of the things we throw, it's because it's on the market, because it's been done before, it's been rigged that way before, we've seen someone, we know that it works. But to actually go out and do something, I'm not saying Jacob Fouts started, I'm just saying he's an early adopter of it. It made me think, like, God, we all had jig heads, we all had minnows, we all had, and even like a Ned, we all had Cincos. What, like, for 10 years, why didn't we just say, I wonder what half of this sucker would look like?
Right. Exactly. You know what I mean? Right, exactly.
But then, you got this dude in Nebraska or Kansas, Ned K. He's like, oh, and then we're like, oh, wait, no, now there's a bait that's designed for it. Like, It's amazing, like, the mental of what we're okay with. We're okay with throwing a Yum Dinger and a Ned, but God forbid we lose a freaking curly tail leg on our 6-inch lizard.
Right, it's off.
It's done. Like, how the hell are they going to bite it with only 3 legs of action? So there's like some weird deal in your head where, like, you have to be built a certain way to go out and be like, I've never seen this done before, but I have this in my head that it's going to work, and then it works, and then you master that.
Well, the crazy enough thing is, before the Ned rig came out, I was fishing Yum Dingers on jig heads.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not even started my minnow journey. You just keep throwing them glide baits, Brazil. You just keep throwing them glides, man. Uh, yeah, but that's a different kind of thing, Drunkwood. But yeah, so like when I won Buffalo, I was throwing a dinger on a jig head,
Yeah.
just a ball headed jig, and
Mhm.
we didn't call it a Ned rig back then. You know, it was a ball headed jig, and that's what I was doing because I'm like, well, if they'll eat a tube, they'll eat this thing, and they smashed it. You know what I mean? And then I had the ability to go to the 5 or the 4. And so it was like, okay, this is good because now I could jump food classes. You know, you throw a 5-inch dinger on a jig head for smallmouth, and you're going to eliminate a lot of the little bites for sure. You know what I mean? And in that tournament, I didn't need little bites; I needed big,
Mhm.
giant bites. So you know, so and then the Ned rig came out, and
Yeah.
it's like, well,
And the Zoom Centipede, that's a great point.
oh
It's a
yeah,
it's a freaking Ned rig.
100%.
Jeffries, when I moved to Oklahoma, that dude was obsessed with a freaking Zoom Centipede on a little 2-aught, and he would Carolina rig that thing
Yep.
from Arbuckle all the way up to Grand.
Oh
And I
yeah, dude.
mean, it was the dumbest looking thing. I refused to throw it. He would throw it in that neon pepper color too.
Yeah, and that was a pink color with all the metal flake in it. It was called that was a popular one too.
Anyway, I would
Anyhow.
never throw the dang thing when I fish with them. But by God, the freaking Ned rig came out. Let's throw something that has even less action, zero gliding action.
Right, exactly. Something that looks like nothing, and then throw it down there.
But that's the case where Jeffrey's mastered. We talk about mastering the team, mastered that Carolina rig
Yeah,
technique. He knew what the bottom felt like. He knew where to throw it. He had the utmost confidence in it. It's because he had done it all over the dang state.
right, 100%. But see, that's all part of it. You know what I mean? That's all part of it. I mean, I won a tournament, Carolina rigging tubes with an 1/8 ounce, a 1/4 ounce slip sinker. Um, you know, my go-to Carolina rig baits, a spine craw and a lizard, and here I am. I'm Carolina rigging a tube because for whatever the reason, on a very light slip sinker, for whatever the reason, the smallmouth were crushing it, and I didn't fight it. You know what I mean? You just don't fight it. It's working. You don't fight
So
it.
who was it? Was it Jeff that said he refused to start his minnow journey? You got Ryan here. Ryan absolutely refuses to throw a Ned. So I have a couple key words down. I have master technique, and then I have enjoy or effective. Like when you choose to master technique, how do you want to master one that you enjoy using, like maybe a glide bait or something that is not as effective, or is it more beneficial to master something? You know, if I'm in Ryan shoes, refuses to throw a Ned, but the thing's so effective that you're like, man, I gotta put these in the boat and master this technique. Like, how do you determine between the enjoyment factor and the catching fish factor? Because catching fish is enjoyable, but I mean, let's be honest, if you have a good day, you're actually catching fish for maybe 0.5% of your actual day on the water.
Yeah, I mean, my thing is that I look at it like this. I want to be the best possible fisherman I can.
Mm-hmm.
And if that means mastering a technique is going to make it so I can put more fish in my boat, it's going to make me a better fisherman. I understand more stuff. Um, Also, I've by nature, by nature, Matt, you're laughing. I'm sure something came up
Yeah,
for
I
you.
don't know whether to after you
No,
finish your thought, and then I'll mull over whether I want to even ask you if what the hell this means.
yeah,
Continue.
yeah. Be careful. So anyhow, so I just love learning more and more and more about everything it is that we do. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's what it amounts to. Um, I don't have a problem throwing a Ned rig as much as I don't have a problem flipping a jig, as much as I don't have a problem punching heavy cover or
Mhm.
punching grass. Punching grass used to be problematic for me. To be honest with you, punching grass used to be like the bane of my existence. I remember the first time I went to Florida, I heard about punching. You got to punch, you got to punch, you got to punch. So I rigged up a 3/4 ounce sinker and on 50-pound braid and on one of my heavy rods, and I said, I'm punching, man. I'm going to catch 5-pounders and 6-pounders. And I went out punching for 2 hours and I caught one bass that was about 1.5 pounds. And I said, what the hell? And so at that point, I said, I need to figure this out because I'm missing fish that I should be catching. And so once I started analyzing everything and going out there more specifically just to punch, because if you're going to master a technique, you got to do it when it's prevalent. So I started understanding it's about the grass, but it's not about the grass. It's about the bottom composition and what's going on underneath the grass. Once I knew that, punching became easy as pie because I would look at my topography and go, I got to go punch those high spots because those are hard bottom. I got to punch here because there's a depression.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at a mat of grass, it's all the same. It's all freaking green mat. It's the same, but underneath the water is vastly different. Once I realized that, I can look at my maps and my knowledge of the lake prior to the grass growing and go, okay, here's a punch spot, here's a punch spot, here's a punch spot, and then figure out, do they want the high spots or do they want the depressions? Once you figure that out, you got it made. And so that's kind of, and then here and I'm going off now because there's a lot. So when I started punching, you punch it through, boom, it hits the bottom. You lift it up a couple times, take it out, punch it again. Well, then I got a bite one time right when it slithered through, and I'm like, what if I leave it up there? So I punch it through, it goes through the mat, and then I bring it back up to the top of the canopy and start poking it up on top of the canopy, and then all of a sudden, you get the boil under the grass, and there he is, because those bass were feeding at the crayfish that were, eating the snails and stuff off the grass upside down. So all of a sudden another bell went off. Okay, now I got to figure out where are they in the canopy, and so little by little you put the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's what I call mastering the technique. Once you get the pieces of the puzzle together, you start to, and that's the exciting part is doing that.
It's not often that I hear of a new technique.
Oh God, help us all.
VTL. No, this is serious. This is dead serious, right? I don't know if this is serious or not. Weston Beck talking about I don't know whether it's a bait or it's a technique. I don't know if this might be the last day 4. I'm gonna put it up there. Are you familiar with the twig and jig? I'm not. I is that like a centipede on a jig, like a Cinco on a jig? Or I would love. I mean,
I don't know. Weston, yeah, I don't know, but like guys were putting drop shots above a jig.
The twig and jig is a new one to
Carolina rigging with a jig as the weight. I mean, I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff done. With the line the turned line eye on a jig, you can thread your line through it, and you could use the jig as the Carolina rig weight. So when you get sinker bites, they eat the jig. But I found that particular rig snags up around the line, your leader line all the time, and for as lack of effectiveness as it was never worth doing. So I didn't pursue it. Just that.
There's actually fishing stuff on the twig and the jig and twig.
All right, throw it up. I got to see what it is.
I'm
curious now.
Well, I got to find a picture. Right now, there's just a lot of pictures of jigs and then pictures of
a twig.
Twigs. I'm not kidding. Look, I'll show you what I'm
That's
I'm looking at.
that's camouflaging your presentation there.
Look, there's the twigs and then there's the jigs.
So I'm just wondering if you throw the thing over a branch and then you yo-yo it up and down. The guy who sent that needs to text you right now. Type in right now.
Kayak. Hold on, I gotta mute this volume here real quick.
All right.
Here's a kayak dude who's talking about the twig and jig. It's Chad Hoover. What's he saying? Oh, okay. I'll show. Can I show it? I can put another video up on here, right?
Yeah. What's the difference?
It appears as though he's fishing a wacky rig, stick bait, drop shot style above a jig.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I said a second ago. That the guys were using the jig as a drop shot weight and a Carolina rig weight.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, I
was trying to Google.
I get it.
There it is.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, that dude's doing the twig and punch. That's a bold strategy. That is an app. That dude had the twig and punch going.
Oh, heck yeah. All right. I mean, I can see it. I can see it.
I mean, I can't use that in a Bassmaster Open. That would be illegal. But yeah, if you choose to master the old twig and jig, more power to you.
But yeah, I mean,
You're sold out. Are you 6 for 6 on custom colors? We haven't been live, and last week last week custom colored spook dropped, right?
The Boyo dropped midnight. This next month is going to be Spook One Knocker, which this color coming out next month is one of my all-time favorites. I mean, it's like I was almost not annoyed that it went to the signature series.
There's a couple of those colors that you've opined to me that you would rather them have been included into a catalog color because they're that good.
Yeah, 100%. Like all my St. Clair Cross, for example.
You know what, Frank? Let's do this. Let's bend the ears to the powers that be at Pradco, LureNet, whatever. And let's do a show where you bring in all of your favorite colors that you have made over the freaking years that are no longer available or that were only signature series colors or that were one-off. And now we understand. You've told us that how this is a year out, right? By the time everything, but
yeah, I'm working on colors now for 2027.
We did the color number 7, and that was a smashing success.
Yeah.
I think we should let the day 4 people bring back one, decide which Frank SCALISH color comes back from this signature series after it's done. In the catalog. In the catalog. Like after these signature series that there's 1 of 600, we bring all of these signature series back in to where you show, hey, here they all are. And then we run a freaking contest and all the day 4 listeners can vote on which one of these 12 signature series stays for good.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm going to bring that up to, as we say, in the powers to be, to see if we can make that.
I mean, is that not the proper way to say it?
Yeah.
What would you rather say? Your boss?
No, the powers to be sounds better.
It does.
It sounds better. It sounds like there's a whole bunch of them up there.
But I will say this, like you haven't been like complaining about it. You've just been
lamenting.
lamenting. You're like, man, I feel like maybe we burned this color because it was in the signature series 600. And like, I'd really like to see it in maybe a couple different models available in a catalog. Like, I don't want it to just kind of get, I just chucked my pen. Good thing I got a backup.
Good thing. I also have backups.
Bring the powers to be on here live and let us, that's a great way to not make it to day 4 200.
Yes. Leave it to Brazil to throw some weights in the old life vest.
But I've never heard. That's a good one.
I just made it up, actually.
I like it, but I think that might be one of my best on-air ideas.
I think so. I think that is the coolest thing, and then we'll have to do some contest with a giveaway then.
Is there a list of what all the signature series were?
Well, I have every one of them hanging in my basement.
I know, but on here,
I don't believe there is. But we're gonna put one. We'll
Tony,
put one
it's
together.
not diminishing his collection at all. All it is just this would not be a signature series. It would be a color that is now available.
Right, and for that matter, that color could be put in a different lure.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, it could go in a different bait. We're not going to do anything to damage the authenticity of the signature collections.
Mm-hmm. So you're going. This one's sold out. I'm assuming. All right, let me double check.
Yeah, every one of them's sold out.
And then next month is, you said, a one knocker.
Yeah, dude. Oh my God.
You can describe it to us without showing it.
I could show it to you, but I don't have it here. It's in the basement. It's called Cloud 9.
Have I even seen it?
I don't think anybody has.
You can't show it this early though, can you?
I could show whenever I want, probably. It's
where the powers to be would be okay with that.
But I got to run and get it. That's the problem. I don't have it handy. I would be out of the screen for approximately a minute.
Well, next week is the 17th, and I plan on being here. Can we show it on the 17th then?
Yeah, I can.
All
right. Let me write this down so I don't forget. Oh, look, I have live BTL on the 17th.
There you go.
And then I have to put Cloud 9. There's a lot of cool things coming down the pipe. Not to digress off of the fishing topic, because I like the fishing topic. There's a lot of things coming on LureNet coming down the pipe. You guys are going to lose your mind. There's a lot of sales and specials and some really cool stuff with some really good merchandise, not garbage merchandise, really good stuff. That's all I can elaborate on that, but it's coming down the pipe. Clearly we're coming closer to Christmas. So there'll be a lot of really good advantages that were fought hard to do. Like I'm talking, 50% off, buy one, get one, buy two, get one.
Nice. Anthony says, take a commercial break and go get it. The beautiful thing about day 4 with Pradco and LureNet is it runs commercial free.
That is a beauty thing. Because who wants commercials?
we just offer you buying opportunities.
That's right.
Every other show.
Every other show.
But no, seriously, like day 4 it's a LureNet exclusive day, like with you.
Yeah,
so,
which is fun. Although sometimes, like when I would sub in on some of the regular BTL shows and you pop to the commercial break, I could get up, go get more coffee, go get a cup of water.
Have you not seen the new commercials that we've been running like over this last week? Like, dude, I'm like in them.
Oh yeah,
I run them. It feels kind of, I'm not going to lie, it feels kind of badass when I'm like, hey, BTL, we'll be back right after this. And then it's like me talking like I sound like I know what the hell I'm doing.
It's perfect. They're good commercials. Yeah. They're really good commercials.
I mean, they're professionally done. So.
Well, yeah, because that's what the companies pay for.
Yeah.
That's what their marketing team isn't supposed to do. They would never do anything as unprofessionally as we do on day 4.
I feel like we're fairly professional.
Nah,
like
day 4 is a blast, dude. Are you kidding
I
me?
enjoy it. Forgot to show you these. I meant to show you these. This is 1/261st scale.
What the? What are they, little Martians?
Yeah, they're like Martians with jetpacks on them. Like, could you imagine wacky rigging that?
Outstanding.
Dude, I'm not going to open it up, obviously.
Yeah, I would not open that up ever.
I mean, this was actually shockingly expensive. These were like $12 for a pack of 3 of these things.
And you got little mini scuba divers.
I don't know what they are. They're called Jaburo.
They look like little scuba divers.
Jaburo Amber.
You got to throw those when you're shark fishing.
Let me Google this.
That is so funny.
Hold on. J-A.
What are you seeing if they have a full picture of them?
Yeah.
Good
Let me
call.
see who the heck Jaburo Amber is. Oh, that's the color. That's the color, I think. No,
that's amber. That's definitely an amber color for sure.
Principality of Zeon.
Okay, so
that's the only English thing on the whole thing.
All right, so that's probably a Martian or a extraterrestrial, I would assume. If it said Jacques Cousteau, then it would have been a scuba diver or something. And then you can only, you could use those to fish for sharks.
Okay, this is some sort of anime. Yeah, it's like an anime deal.
Okay.
So I bought an anime bait.
Perfect. You should have got 2 of them and then actually caught fish on one of them.
I know. There's a lot of things that I should have bought in Japan that I did not.
Well, it's kind of hard to do when you're in sensory overload and there's 5 million things you've never seen before.
Yeah. So we're all day at Sunline doing stuff, working meetings. Like it was super amazing. And then, we do a lunch where there's, a lot of mystery meat, most of it uncooked, all insanely delicious. and then we go back and we have like 10 minutes to get ready for dinner. So you're in like your little 20 square foot hotel room and boom, you shower up, you're, beers in 10 minutes downstairs. Okay. So boom, you're getting ready, you're down, and then you do this crazy dinner where you're like, it's all fantastic. And then every night, boom, straight to karaoke. What? I'm not kidding.
Oh God.
And like, this little town we're in, like if you're not looking for it, it just looks like houses, but then there'll be like little neon lights and you walk in and there's like there's like karaoke streets, but they're small. So there's like 2 tables in there max. And they have a very limited, they had 3 George Strait songs, like on that system in that town. It's like I sang Amarillo by Morning with John Cruz like 9 times in 4 days.
So now you know all the words.
The thing is, you kind of have to, because we were the first Americans in like those karaoke things since the pandemic. So it was like a big deal.
Well, yeah. Are you kidding me?
You sit down, they pour you a beer. They have these things called highballs, mega highballs.
Okay.
And it's like
it's shot in a beer.
No, it's like a carbonated whiskey soda. You have to have like a special machine to make it. Japan loves highballs.
I can't even imagine carbonated whiskey. I think that's just asking for a lot of problems down the road.
So did I. I had one sip of one.
Yeah.
And then they fire up the karaoke machine. 2 most requested songs: "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," "Star Spangled Banner."
Shut the hell up. Are you serious?
I swear. It was so much fun. And literally there's outside of Kyle Welcher and John Cruz, there was no one there to judge us.
So you won.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you won.
There was no one there to judge.
What if you just thought they only let 3 or 4 people in at a time, and they just didn't want you guys to go anywhere you're supposed to be?
I don't know. It was a heck of a time. And then we would repeat the process over again. But it would be weird because, it'd be like the other 3 or 4 guys from Sunline, usually probably a lady in her 30s to 50s who like ran the karaoke bar, and then like us. So we're talking like 8 dudes and like the dojo mother or the house or the bar, and she would like come and sit down and have a highball or a little bit of beer or some tea or something with us. Like she would entertain our guests, but it would just be us just belting out karaoke.
That's crazy. That is wild.
And I don't sing karaoke. Last time I sang karaoke was the day I turned 21, and I went to OU, and I left the O'Connell's Irish Pub without a shirt and 1 shoe.
Okay, well then I would say stay away from karaoke.
But it was fantastic.
Or O'Connell's Pub. Yeah, so the last time I sang karaoke was never.
You've never sang karaoke?
Never.
Now, what if karaoke is like cheese curds? What if all of a sudden when you try it, you find that it's like your new passion?
I'm going to stick with the cheese curds. Now my wife's a singer. My wife sings.
Okay.
Yeah, she's classically trained also.
I think you've mentioned that before. Nick was mentioning, when we fished off the bank, Sunline had us wear PFDs. Now I was lucky enough I got a waist one. That I do not believe is a Japan law at all. I think that's like a liability Sunline deal. Hey, we're taking these clumsy Americans to the lake. Let's make sure if one of them takes a Greg Louganis into these crystal clear waters that we're not held liable.
Oh gosh, dude, you brought up that is like an old reference, dude.
Yeah.
That is a great reference. That is like an old reference, man.
Legendary Olympic swimmer who once got too close to the diving board.
Diver. He was a diver.
Yeah.
I used to dive in high school. I was a diver.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, swear to God.
Oh,
that's what I lettered in. I lettered in diving.
Oh, we're gonna have to have Frankie Jr. go through the family album.
There won't
next time he's home.
No, there won't be.
There
won't be. No.
I'm putting a bounty on a Frank Scalish Speedo swimming picture.
There won't be. There won't be. I made sure. I'm like the government. I only put out what I need to put out. Nothing else.
Oh, they exist.
Yeah. I'm sure they do, but it was before social media, so film negatives can be destroyed. Stop looking, Matt. Just stop right.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm just getting it dialed in.
Yeah, thanks for that. I appreciate it.
As we wrap up the show, I accidentally sent the link to Frankie and then said, oops, wrong Scalish. And then I thought, oh, well, he wouldn't be bad to have on. The man is, you got to be a little proud of Frankie right now.
Yeah, very actually. Proud and jealous, actually, to be honest with you. He's fishing the U.S. Open. And, I would not mind fishing that place just to see what it's all about. But, he's working hard. He's finding some fish. So we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope everything works out for the best.
Mojave U.S. Open starts next week.
Yeah,
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yeah, Monday,
14th, 15th, and 16th.
Yeah,
lots of big smallmouth. Too largey sprinkled in.
So we'll keep our fingers crossed and, hope it pans out.
I was talking to you on the phone the other day. I was like, how wild would it be if we're sitting here that Frank Jr.'s the U.S. Open champ?
Well, it would work out perfect because the show would be the day after the tournament.
Yeah.
So if he would, if he won the thing and he was not hung over to death, he could come on and talk about it.
Even better, I believe he's staying at Juice's house after the tournament on the way back. So he would be in the day after the tournament. He's going to be in studio anyway on that Thursday, I think.
Well, the tournament ends on Wednesday.
Yeah, is he not going to be in Oklahoma? He's probably not going to be in Oklahoma by Thursday.
No way, dude. It's like
we might have to do a special show on Friday then, depending on what your schedule is. I know he's going to be in town for a couple days. Oklahoma.
Yeah. That'll be good, man.
Yeah, he's staying at Juice's house. Juice has, he's got that oil and gas money over there, so they have nicer guest bedrooms than I do.
And he's got his new Juice Jig money too. So
he does, and he's got a new truck. And
God bless the boy. God bless the kid, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to get old truck anxiety right now.
What do you have on yours?
I've got 145,000 on it, but
that's nothing.
It's nothing, but it's a 2016. The problem I have is it's bought and paid for.
Yeah. Well, that's not a problem.
Well, it's not a problem, but it's bought and paid for, and I'm of the mindset that the cost of trucks and stuff these days, I'm 100% not willing to get into a massive car payment.
Yeah, but answer me this. Money is no object. What is Frank Scalish's dream tow rig?
Oh my gosh.
Like brand, model, any accessories.
It's not a dream tow rig, but I would take Ram's version of the Raptor.
What is Ram's version of the Raptor?
I don't even remember the name of the damn thing. I have a tendency not to look at things.
The TRX.
I have a tendency to not to look at things I'll never ever have. But that would be
the 2500.
Either or. I think they're badass. I would like one, but I'll never have one. So there you go. But they're pretty sweet.
Why will you never have one?
Because I'm not spending that kind of money on a truck. What are you, crazy?
Yeah, I am.
That'd be like buying another brand new bass boat.
That thing right there.
Absolutely, 100%. That's got me written all over it.
Yeah, that's pretty savage.
It's savage.
Can you not write that into the next LureNet contract? Brand new Ram. Yearly.
TRX.
Yeah,
that would
loaded to the cork.
Loaded. Oh my God. That would be sick. That would be just twisted sick right there, man.
2025 Ram TRX.
It's got to be like $109,000, dude. Or at least upwards of 9.
I don't know. You could find them for yeah. You want like a
yeah. You want like for what?
Well, I mean, you're kind of trading. I mean, here's a 2024 Ram TRX crew cab 4x4 5.7 box, $124K.
$124K.
Yeah, but I see a lot. Like you can get a good one for 50, 60K. Just the cost of a house.
Yeah, that's fine. That'd be so worth the expenditure right now.
Dude, these things do look bad. Now you're looking at the hybrid or the all electric version.
What are you, crazy, dude? I want fuel, man. Fossil fuels all the way, dude.
Oh my gosh.
You run the damn thing on gas, and then when the electricity goes out, you can still go somewhere.
Yeah. Nate's talking about a Chevy Colorado. I had my buddy James, he towed a whole year on the MLF or FLW tour back in the day with a Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Trucks are cool. I like trucks. I've had trucks almost my entire adult life.
Trucks are cool. Dude, these are pretty good looking.
Oh yeah, dude.
What color? That red accent? Like if you
No,
could go any color, we
okay,
need dream color.
Okay, so my first of all, in a vehicle, I hate red, so red will never happen in my world.
Dude, that's kind of cool though.
But that's not really red.
No, you're right.
And that is badass, actually.
Yeah. All right.
That is way cool.
So what color are we going with?
I don't know. Black is so hard to keep.
What do you have, a blue now?
No, I have a silver one now, but I'm thinking like a blue, like the blue on my boat.
Like that blue?
That gunmetal gray. Yeah, that's cool. But the gunmetal gray one was pretty sweet, dude.
Like that?
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
But yeah, so working in the body shop for a while, and and painting and everything, but black is so hard to keep clean. And then after a while, it'll show every scratch in the world, and I'm just not, I just don't want to have that kind of upkeep. I mean, I got silver because silver doesn't show anything, doesn't show dirt, doesn't show anything. That's why I got silver. Which is pretty nice because you wash it once a week and it always looks clean. But
did you ever do the conversion van thing?
No.
That was a serious question. I mean, back when you fished, that was kind of the tail end of the conversion van
right.
era,
My buddies all had them to tow with. And we traveled around in one for a while, and it was okay, but now we fish in such inclement weather that I'm 4-wheel drive all the way. I mean, there's no way possible that I'm not gonna have a vehicle without 4-wheel drive today. It's just never gonna happen.
I should do a documentary on the conversion van era.
Dude, it would be pretty wild. I mean, it would be pretty wild. Some of the people did some crazy things with those vans.
You look at those pictures and it just looks like some weird stuff.
Yeah.
In some of them.
Oh yeah, dude. You're talking P. Diddy all the way.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far. With the bait fuel.
Oh, you said you weren't going to go that far, and you just
and then I just
right over
right through the
right over the edge of the line, right there.
But I mean, yeah, there are some wild conversion vans from back in the day. I mean, you would see these just everywhere. All over the boat in the boat ramp. Just these suckers right here.
Yeah, 100%. They were everywhere.
Oh yeah. I got to do something on the conversion van.
Boy, how that one picture you pulled up, that thing must have been heavy. Did you see how bad that thing was squatting in the back end?
Yeah.
That thing must have had everything in it.
We got to hit the music before we.
Yeah, we kind of went down a
digress
different path here.
That's okay. I enjoyed it. Next week, same place, same time. You want to do it again?
Yeah, let's try it. Let's see if it works.
All right. This has been another edition of Day 4 with the man Frank SCALISH. We'll talk to everybody next week. See ya.
Peace.